Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we will learn 14 punctuation marks with examples. Full stop or a period. This is the most popular punctuation mark because you simply cannot write even a single sentence without using it. So, there are two most common uses of a full stop: to indicate the end of a sentence or to follow an abbreviation. For example, this is the hour of song and dance. An abbreviation is the shortened form of a term. It may comprise the first letters of the words of a phrase or be the contracted form of a word. For example, Doctor, Reverend, Mr., Corporation, Junior, Senior, for example, that is, etc. A comma is often used to separate different ideas in a sentence. However, it has many other uses as well, and it is important to remember them as well. Some of the most common comma rules are as follows. Rule number 1. Use commas to separate independent clauses when they are joined by any other these 7 coordinating conjunctions like and, but, for, or, nor, so, et. Example: I love vanilla ice cream, but my brother prefers chocolate. The comma should come before the conjunction. Rule 2. Use commas to separate items in a list of 3 or more. For example, I need to buy eggs, milk, lettuce, and bread. Usage of comma to separate the second to last from the last item is optional. Rule 3. Use a comma to separate a dependent clause from an independent clause. For example, when I get home, I am going to brush up. If I get a new job, I will be very happy. Rule number 4. Use a comma to separate any word or phrase from the rest of the sentence that is not essential to the sentence's meaning. This phrase usually provides information about the subject. For example, my mother, on the other hand, does not like chocolate. Suraj Arora, my best friend, is going to the mall today. Rule 5. Use a comma to separate a quotation from the rest of a sentence. For example, he said, we need to lower taxes. Rule 6. Use a comma to separate an introductory element from the rest of a sentence. For example, hi, how are you? Well, the problem will be fixed soon. Rule 7. Use a comma to separate the name of a city from a country or state. For example, I live in Udupi, Karnataka. I visited Florence, Italy last summer. Rule 8. Use a comma to separate the day of the week or the day of the month. For example, today is Wednesday, January 11th, 2023. Tomorrow will be Thursday, February 14th, 2023. Question mark, as its name suggests, needs to go at the end of every interrogative sentence instead of a full stop. For example, how old are you? Where are you going? An exclamation mark added at the end of a sentence shows emphasis. Depending on the meaning of the sentence, it can indicate anger, happiness, excitement, or any other strong emotion. For example, I'm really going to miss this place. You are adorable. Quotation marks. As their name suggests, quotation marks indicate direct quotations. You can also use them to show that a word or a phrase is being used ironically or for titles of articles, book chapters, episodes of TV show, etc. For example, her daughter asked, "Why did you call that man a ridiculous idiot?" He complains that his house is small because it has only 3000 square feet. Double quotes are used to mark speech, or the general rule is that double quotes are used to denote direct speech. Single quotes are used to enclose a quote within a quote within a headline, or a title within a quote. Apostrophe. An apostrophe has two very important uses. Firstly, it can be used in contractions in place of omitted letters. Secondly, it can show possession. For example, she is. She's always on time. It is. I can't believe it's snowing again. The cabin of principal. The principal's cabin. The hostel of girls. The girls' hostel. Hyphen. Even though it looks very similar to a dash, a hyphen has very different uses. It's most commonly used to create compound words. For example, we are looking for a dog friendly hotel. The long haired girl walked into the hotel. Mother in law. There are two different dashes, the M dash and the M dash, the first being slightly shorter than the second one. The N dash is usually used to show a connection between two things as well as a range of numbers, years, pages, etc. N dash example. We took Monday to Friday bus to the zoo. She served as Secretary of State from 1996 to 1999. The longer M dash is used to separate extra information or mark a break in a sentence. The M dash is mostly used in informal writings such as friendly letters, emails, and journals. There should be no space before or after an M dash. For example, please call my lawyer Richard Smith on Tuesday. I talked to Mr. Arun, my son's math teacher, at the game on Friday. These sentences could be written with comma or parenthesis. A colon is a punctuation mark you will come across very often in different circumstances. It can introduce an example, a list, an explanation, or a quotation. Or you can also use it to emphasize a certain point. Use a colon to introduce an example or to further explain an idea presented in the first part of a sentence. The first part of the sentence must always be an independent clause, that is, it must stand alone as a complete thought with a subject and verb. Do not use a colon after phrases like such as or for example. Example, there are two choices at this time, run away or fight. This house has everything I need, 2 bedrooms, a backyard, and a garage. This was first said by Shakespeare, to thine own self be true. The world is a stage. play your role well. Semicolon is a punctuation mark that creates a longer pause than a comma but a shorter pause than a full stop. So, it can be used to create a pause between two independent clauses that are still closely related to each other. For example, Dad is going bald. His hair is getting thinner and thinner. I had a huge meal, however, I am already hungry again. This is a Remington typewriter. All the keys are intact. Parenthesis. In British English, parentheses are called round brackets. In most cases, you will see additional information in parentheses. Usually, it can be omitted without creating any confusion for the reader. There are some rules to follow. Rule 1. Use parentheses to enclose information that clarifies or is used as an aside. For example, he finally answered after taking 5 minutes to think in the bracket that he did not understand the question. If material in parenthesis ends a sentence, the period goes after the parenthesis. For example, he gave me a nice bonus, rupees 10,000. Rule 2a. Full stop goes inside parenthesis only if an entire sentence is inside the parenthesis. For example, please read the analysis. In the bracket, you will be amazed. Rule B. Take care to punctuate correctly when punctuation required both inside and outside parenthesis. For example, you are late, aren't you? Rule 3. Parentheses, despite appearances, are not part of the subject. For example, Joe, accompanied by his trusty mutt, was always welcome. Rule 4. Commas are more likely to follow parentheses than precede them. For example, when he got home, it was already dark outside. He fixed dinner. Brackets are, in a way, similar to parentheses. However, they are mostly used in academic writing and presenting quotes. For instance, the writer can add extra information or fix mistakes in brackets without changing the original quotation. For example, Mila studied all night for the grammar test. He, the police officer, can't prove they did it. Square brackets are also used as brackets within brackets to enclose parenthetical material that appears in text already inside parentheses. For example, July was the hottest month on record in a 150-year period. Table 1. Ellipses. An ellipsis creates an intriguing and mysterious atmosphere in the text. In addition, it can be used to show that some letters or even words are omitted. An ellipsis is a punctuation mark made up of 3 dots. An ellipsis is used to show an omission of a word or words from a text, to create a pause for effect, to show an unfinished thought, to show a trial of into silence. For example, I know he deserved it, but the evaluation concluded the report is well written, but